Good evening and welcome to another episode of My Fiber Fun. Yep, here I am, Ray Charles once again. Forgot my regular sunglasses, so I stuck these on because I needed to do a little gardening, well, not gardening work, but I had to set my groundhog trap, and I was fooling with grass and hay and stuff like that, so I have to still protect my eyes. The last thing I want after this attack, because of that surgery, is to do anything to damage my eyes. So I'm just being careful while I'm out here, because dirt, anything can fly into my eyes. So I had these on, and I may as well just leave them on. I could take them off. Anyway, I'm here because y'all saw me paying homage to the former Joann store earlier, and I promised you that I would come back on and tell y'all about the nightmare with my house. I had told y'all, I had begun that story way back like 2 months ago, when I told you that my house insurance company decided to leave Michigan and they dropped my insurance. Well, I never did come back through, or they hadn't dropped it. It was going to drop as of the 30th of June. So that gave me 2 whole months, a little bit over 2 whole months, to search for a new insurance company. So they said that they would search for companies and send me emails with the cheapest rates and all that stuff. So I started my own little search, and I remember the company that I used to use for my renter's insurance. They're also a homeowner's company, and they were very cheap. My renter's insurance, and I carried it from the time that I first moved out of my parents' home up until I bought my house. So that was well over 30 years actually, because I bought my first house at 54. So and I moved on my own at like 21, somewhere around there. So yeah, it's been like 30 years. Okay, so anyway, I had always used the same company, and they were very good. I had, during my career with them, I only had 2 times where I had to use them for a claim. And that was because this one apartment that I lived in, and the particular apartment I was in was a lower level. The pipes burst due to the cold weather this one year in '94, and it caved my ceiling in because the pipes burst. They were like up and down. I don't know how that happened, but my apartment got damaged, and others too, but they didn't have renter's insurance, but I did. So anyway, I did that claim, and then that following year, I'm still in that same apartment. Why would I think it wouldn't happen again? It happened again, and so they actually moved me out of that apartment into another one, and then I had, at that point, I had to go up to the 2nd floor, which was fine, no more problems, and I stayed there for a number of years before I finally moved on. Anyway, I don't know how I got into that story. Anyway, this is the same company. So I was like, okay, let me get a quote, to find out what's happening with them. So they've changed now. You have to go through an agent through a major company in order to get their insurance as an underwriter. You used to call them all together and just get your insurance, but they've changed it over the years. So I did that, and I was able to obtain the insurance at an amount of $300 less than what I was already paying, which means my house payment should go down, with the escrow and all that. Plus I bought conventional, so my PMI isn't that high, but my house payment it's gone up and down. I started out at X amount of dollars. It went up $200 the first year after I was here, but it was so low at first, I figured it would go up probably by $100 or $200. Then it went down $150 in 2023, and then it shot up another $40 last year. So it's still, decent. But it was going to really shoot up with my insurance dropping me. But with this new insurance, since I'll be saving $300 a year, it's bound to go down. If not down, I'll at least break even. So I don't expect my house payment to go up. Anyway, so I got the Michigan Basic, which is the insurance I have now. I went on and got it. Okay, so this was April the 25th. Actually the 23rd of April, somewhere around there. It was before the end of April. I said, just cancel what I have and let's just roll with this, because I know it's cheaper and I'm not gonna find nothing no cheaper than this. unless somebody gives it to me. So I did that, right? Well, the insurance company that I had, they decided to look for insurance companies for everybody. And so they put me on, they ended up overriding my new insurance, and they had all my information, and they zipped in under this insurance called Complete, I believe. That was the name of it. No, they came in under State Farm. And I was like, oh no. And that was like $400 more. I fought and fought and fought. So they had bumped out my new insurance and added that. I'm like, no, I want my refund. I didn't give permission for them to override what insurance I chose. We went through a thing, okay? My agent and I, we went through a thing. It took almost a month to get that straightened out. I'm not even going to go into the whole story. Just know that I was what they used to call slammed, where they just overrode. You would think that would be illegal, and I believe it is, but they just did it. And because they had my information, I don't know, they probably used my old signature. I don't know what they did, but they knocked out my new insurance and put in what they wanted to put in, which was $400 more. So we got that straightened out. Okay, then they did it again. Before we can even get set up, they did it again and went with an insurance company called Complete. And it was $300 more than what my new insurance is. So when they did it the second time, I'm like, we talked to the man on the yacht, so to speak. We talked to the head people at my mortgage company, and we made it clear, do not let anyone, I want Michigan Basic. This is what the amount is. And so my insurance company went on and they paid Michigan Basic, and they were like, oh, it's settled now because we have sent out the check to Michigan Basic. It is paid. It is done. This was about 3 weeks ago. Ask me if I didn't get an email yesterday. No, I got a letter in the mail on Friday saying you need to contact your former insurance company, and they had the number to this Complete. And I'm like, that's not even my former insurance, but since they had slammed me the way that they did, I just went on and called. They said, you need to cancel that. They will send you a check, and then you would need to forward the check to us so that we could put it towards your escrow. I'm like, I'm mad, but I'll go on and do it because I want them out of my life altogether. Okay, so I called, and the lady I talked to, she was real nice, and I wrote her first and last name down and her direct number. And so I told her, I want to cancel it, blah, 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 blah. So she sent me the DocuSign through the email for me to DocuSign it. So I read through every doggone syllable, letter, word, and everything to make sure she wasn't trying to pull a fast one, which she still ended up doing. We're getting ready to get to that. That's today's story. Anyway, everything looked legit. It had cancellation, blah, blah, blah. All I needed to do was sign it. She told me that they would be sending me a check. I think it was for like $1,300 or something like that. And that I would need to, forward it to my mortgage company. And so I'm like, okay, I said, but I had already taken out new insurance, and that's what I'm listed under. She was like, yeah, she was like, we had no way of knowing that. So we just paid it or whatever. And so that was just null and void money, according to her. So she canceled it. And then she sent me a confirmation showing that it had been canceled. Now, this was this past Monday. She did all that. I looked at it, have the confirmation, did not delete it. And I did not delete our correspondence either, the PDF that she sent me or Adobe or whatever that is, where you do the DocuSign. I kept all that. I was like, just in case. Well, what happened was, I don't know what she did, although she canceled and everything, but then she ended up sending my information to this insurance company called Demand. I was like, perfect name, right? Demand. I get this letter. No, I get an email yesterday saying, your insurance premium has been paid by Demand in the amount of, and it was an amount of what, this time it was $1,202. They were like, in the amount of $1,202. And they put on there, so your escrow will be increasing. We'll be sending you a notice in October to let you know. I'm like, what the heck? And I did not say heck, okay? I called first thing this morning to my mortgage company, and so I explained everything to the lady, and I told her what has happened twice. I said, and if you look in my account, you will see that each time I've canceled, the 2 times I canceled the Complete and I've canceled the State Farm, I said, and I have Michigan Basic. I said, that is my insurance. She was like, yes, we paid Michigan Basic. She said, but she was like, we just sent out a check for demand. She was like, we sent it out on the 10th, which would have been yesterday. She was like, and it's too late, it was sent. And then they sent that on Monday. So after I talked to the lady at Complete, this demand company turned up and slammed me. So she was like, oh no, we're getting ready to settle this. So what happened was she put me on hold and she called the demand company. She could not get anyone on the line, and she was like, wait a minute, I have another number here, I'm gonna try this number and we're gonna talk to somebody. So she ended up speaking with like a manager at Demand, and she explained to them what had happened and everything, and that this was the 3rd time this had happened. And she asked them, where did Demand get this information on her, because she has insurance already and it has been paid, but we just sent you guys a check. And the lady was like, nope, the check's not coming to us, it's going to Complete. So Complete sat there and sent this information. Demand made the payment, but they made it on behalf of Complete to slam me yet again. So she gave the number to the Complete company. I told the lady on the phone, Mary, I said, listen, Mary, I was like, nope, you're not calling that number. You're calling this number that I have. I said, because I got the lady that I spoke with, I said, I got her phone number and her name. I gave her the name, the phone number, and the fax number, and the email. I had all the information because I figured something was going to happen. So she called, and she ended up talking to another lady named Jessica. Supposedly, Angel, who was the lady I talked to, wasn't in. Of course not, because when she found out it was me, I guess she, or us, or whatever, she wasn't going to talk. So anyway, this Jessica lady, she canceled it, gave a confirmation number to my mortgage company. My mortgage company lady put it in big bold letters in my account. They are not to accept or pay any more insurances. I have Michigan Basic, and that's final. So now, this here's the work. And then of course I was so stressed, my MS symptoms just came right back. So I've got my walker out here in the greenhouse, and why I did that, I don't know, rolled it across the grass, so y'all can imagine. But anyway, so it has been canceled. Now I am to look for the $1,200 check in the mail. Then I have to take it to my bank. Then after the bank cashes it and it clears and all that, then I have to pay the money back to my escrow through my mortgage company. And I told I wasn't on the 3-way with the lady from Complete. She was gonna put me on 3-way, but she didn't. She ended up not doing it because she was like, I know you were upset, so I didn't want to do it. So I'm like, okay, whatever, as long as it's straightened out. So now it's straightened out. And she said, you will not have any more problems. She was like, because they were rushing before June 30th. She's like, by the 30th of June, you are locked and loaded with who you have, and that's that. No one else can bother you after that. I hope not. But she put it in my account, do not accept anything unless I contact them to let them know, or, you know, if it's my agent with me. Because when we took out the Michigan Basic, we did it on 3-way, and then he had to send a declaration of insurance to them through fax. All this was done over the phone. We were on the phone for over an hour doing all that. Then I had to get the declaration, sign it, you know, all that stuff. So all that business was handled, and we were on 3-way when we did it. So I figured, oh, we're set now because everything is done. And then we were fighting to get rid of the State Farm at that time as well. And so we thought everything was set. And then here we go again, 2 more times. So anyway, so hopefully it is done. We both, my mortgage company and I, have the confirmation number to the cancellation. I am to wait on the check. They said they were sending the check out today, the refund check. And my mortgage lady is going to follow up. She told me to call her, and she gave me her number. She said, call her by next week. She said, let's give it a week. She's like, if they haven't called by, or if I haven't received a check by next Wednesday, to call her, and then she will follow up. And because of that confirmation number, she or I could follow up myself, but nope, I'm sick of the fight. I will let my mortgage company fight for me in this case. So anyway, it's supposedly done. So hopefully this check will come by next week. I can get it to my bank, get it sent off, you know, get this paid, and I can do it right online. It's very easy doing everything that I need to do online. So therefore, then they will get their escrow, their money back. My house payment at that point should go down, and that'll be the end of it. And so then I would get a check if my house payment goes down. And if it happens to go up, then I would have to send them another check. So it's just it was a nightmare, you guys, and it put me right back in the flare. I feel okay. I'm just resting. I went to the grocery store today, and y'all saw that I went to pay homage to, or homage, or whatever, however you pronounce it, to the gravesite of Joanne. So I was surprised. Now, you all couldn't see, because when I looked at the film, I couldn't see it either. Every light in that store was on, and when I peeked, I would have gone up to the door, but you know, I was hurting too bad and whatnot, and I didn't want to hobble up there, because I would have had to park and walk all the way up there. So I was like, I'm not going to do this. But when I looked in, all the baskets were there in a neat row. And go to the Sewing News Report channel. That one thing that I had posted the other day when I added the link, she posted something saying it's not over. The ombudsman and the liquidators, they had another court hearing today regarding Joanne's in Arizona or something like that. So look at her. I think it's called the Sewing Report Live or something like that. She was able to get into the meeting, and she tells all about it. She's so drawn out. She draws out, like me. She draws out the whole thing, so I really don't watch her, but I saw the headline. So if you're subscribed to her, or if you need her link, it's like 2 videos ago. I posted her link about it, about the Joanne, you know, and all that stuff, and the Michaels and all that stuff. So anyway, I saw another video today, and I cannot remember who it was who posted the video. She got word that she had spoke to someone within corporate or something like that, that Michaels will be purchasing or taking over some of the Joanne sites. So I guess all these new locations that they're opening, because I think it was 200. I could be wrong. I keep saying 200. I knew it was quite a few. But they are going to, the brick and mortars, the new ones that they plan to open, will be former Joanne sites. So I'm almost convinced. I am almost convinced that that Auburn Hills location will become a Michaels. I believe it. And then for all that stuff to still be in there, because I saw shelving in there. I saw the baskets in there. The lights were on. It was good and clean from what I could see. It looked spiffy, better than what it looked when I was shopping there, because y'all know it was a nasty mess. So it just looked, the cash registers, it just looked like a Joanne store that was empty, with the exception of the baskets. And these they weren't the green baskets, they were darker. But you know what, now I can't remember the color of Joanne's baskets. And why am I talking so low all of a sudden, as if the spies of Michaels are listening? Anyway, that's it. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna keep riding, because you know I go to Myers all the time, at least, you know, weekly or bi-weekly. So the next time I go, I'm gonna check again and see what's happening, and hopefully I'll feel well enough to walk up to the door and peek in and film. I will do it, you know, just to see, because I'm curious now. Okay, you guys, so that's about it. So I told that little boring story, but I did say that I was going to tell that story because it may help someone. So if your homeowner's insurance, they can drop you at any time, usually at the beginning of your next period or whatever. They could drop you and move or close or whatever. And I had Berkshire Hathaway although they're still in business, they're just leaving Michigan from my understanding. So anyway, they probably wasn't making enough money here, or too much was happening, more than likely. So anyway, so if that ever happens to you, or if it has happened, just for me to get slammed like that, I've never had nothing like that to happen, and I'm not used to that. You know, I would think that if you switch insurance companies, that's it. It should be final. And I know it can't be legal for them to have done that. But maybe the door was left open because Berkshire did send the notice saying that we will be searching for cheaper insurance. So I don't know if they did that and thought that I would automatically want it. But it wasn't any cheaper than them. In fact, it was more expensive. And they probably said inflation, or they may have gone up. I don't know. But after that, the first time, it was upsetting, but I wasn't that upset. I figured we got it straightened out. But when it happened the second time and then the third, oh, I was mad as a hornet. So anyway, that's it. So we'll see what happens in the next month here or whatever. And I hope that never happens again. I think they sold my name to, you know how people online and people who have your information sell it to these third-party people, because 3 different names: State Farm, Complete, and then Demand. All 3 of them, people I had never even heard. Well, I've heard of State Farm, but I've never heard of Complete and Demand. And then, you know, for them to have my information and to do that, I felt violated. In fact, I still feel violated. It'd be different if it was cheap. But all that, no. And then for my insurance, my mortgage company didn't ask no questions, just went on and just sent them the money all willy-nilly. I'm like, y'all should have been contacting me. Instead of after the fact, I was like, no, I didn't sign anything. And they were like, well, we saw your signature. I was like, it's not my signature. I haven't signed anything, period. I was like, we went through this 2 times before. What part do y'all not understand? That I want this insurance. So she claimed that she put it in there. So hopefully, I have a feeling the nightmare may not be over, but we shall see. But now I have everybody's number. So it's going to be easier for me, but I just don't like the stress. That's what causes MS. That's the worst enemy to any autoimmune disease or any illness, stress. And so why am I going through this stress unnecessarily? And then have to do all this extra footwork on top of it because of something that wasn't of my doing. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here, you guys, and I will talk to you in the next one. And I'm doing very well with the blanket. In fact, I started to bring it out here, and I was like, it'll be just my luck. I'll drop it on this dirty floor, and that would be a nightmare. So I just went on and left it inside. So I'm going to get up from here. I'm going to get my plants watered, and then I'm going to get in the house. So I will talk to you guys later, and may God bless you all. Bye-bye.